Hi, I'm Will Marshall, the owner of Marshall Fitness, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to lose weight with a calorie deficit. When it comes to weight loss, the most important thing is that you're in a calorie deficit. Like, you want to lose fat, you don't want to lose muscle, you want to continue to maintain strength, you want to build strength, you want to maintain the muscle you've already built. So you want to take in less than you're burning throughout the day, right? And that's in the sense of calories in, calories out, right? That is the most important thing when it comes to losing or gaining, right? And I'm not going to specifically say fat or muscle. But from the strict sense of weight loss or weight gain, the thing that matters the most is calories in, calories out. Okay, so everybody has a basal metabolic rate, right? And so basal metabolic rate, or BMR, is how much calories your body burns every single day if you did nothing, right? So your body's gonna burn calories no matter what you do in a given day, because it has to do that in order to operate, essentially. So you'll burn calories while you're sleeping, walking around. Digesting food requires calories to be burned because your body is at work trying to just do the processes that it does day to day. Obviously, we're not aware of that, but it happens. And so your basal metabolic rate it's different for everybody. And the thing is it's really hard to know what that rate is. There's no real way of knowing unless you have access to lab testing, which the average person does not have. And so then you move on from your basal metabolic rate, and then you have what's called your total daily energy expenditure, which would be the same thing here, but then you factor in all the other stuff that you may do that's not simply bodily functions, right? And so your TDEE would be the basal metabolic rate, and then calories you burn from working out or basically your movement throughout your day, right? And so the best gauge of your total daily energy expenditure would be something that a wearable like an Apple Watch or a Whoop or a Oura Ring or even your phone can track that type of stuff. Now, the thing is, like I said, with the basal metabolic rate, those calculations that you get from an Apple Watch are never going to be 100% correct, because these devices are made with the general population in mind, meaning some people might have a slower metabolic rate, some people have a high metabolic rate. These things don't know that, right? Your treadmill doesn't know that. That is why that type of stuff is not a good gauge of what you're actually burning day to day. There are calculators out there that can give you a general recommendation of what that calculator thinks your metabolic rate may be, depending on a bunch of different factors, right? Your age, your height, your weight, and your current activity level. Now, with these calculators, there's a bunch of different kinds now that use different formulas. Generally, they'll ask you your activity level, and it goes from sedentary to highly active. The issue with this is we don't know what highly active means. That could also muddle the number that it gives you. So then the question is, what do we do? So that's what we're going to focus on. So with your TDE, you need to figure out a general number of what this is, and then you base what your intake is on that, right? So for example, talking about me, I'm 5'8", 172 pounds, 27 years old. My generalized TDE is going to be somewhere around 2,400 calories, give or take. If I want to lose weight, I need to take in less calories than I'm burning, right? So we'll put 2,400 calories here. We'll say that's how much I'm burning on a day where I work out and then I do all my other stuff. You know, I'm walking around. I'm burning calories when I digest food. So my diet, what I'm taking in, all my food throughout the day, it needs to total less than this number. That puts me in a situation where I can lose weight. This needs to be maintained over a longer course of time, because in one day, if I eat 2,000 calories, that puts me in a deficit of 400 calories. You're not going to see significant weight loss with just a deficit of 400 calories. You need to be in a deficit for a long period of time in order to see weight loss. In general, 1 pound of weight loss is equivalent to a deficit of 3,500 calories. 3,500 calories to be in a deficit of that much in a day, it's pretty hard to do. So to be in an efficient place to lose weight and not hate yourself while you're doing it, meaning you're really hungry, exhausted, you want to be somewhere between 400 and 500 calories in terms of a deficit each day. Across the week, if you're able to do this Sunday to Sunday, you accumulate 400 times 7. So 400 times 7 puts you in a deficit across the week of 2,800. Now this is just short of that 3,500, but over time, you will gradually see maybe a little bit less than a pound per week of weight loss. Now, the other thing we need to think about here is protein. Most people don't want to lose fat just to lose fat. They want to gain muscle or maintain the muscle that they have built or already have while being in this state of weight loss. So, in that situation, you need to also be taking in the proper amount of protein per day, maybe even a little bit more. Because remember, your body still has to burn calories in order to operate. So again, we don't want to lose all the muscle that we have. We don't want to lose the muscle that we've potentially built while losing weight. So what's required then is your protein intake needs to be on point. And so what that means, you need to take in more protein than you normally would when you're in a state of weight loss, because your body's going to need additional protein to then maintain that muscle. Generally, when you're trying to build muscle, you want to have about a gram per pound of body weight. So for me, 170 pounds, I need 170 grams of protein per day. When losing weight, you're going to need to eat a little bit more protein than you normally would in a state of building muscle. So that means you need to be somewhere in the ballpark of 1.2 to 1.4 grams of protein per pound of body weight. Taking in 170 grams of protein per day can be difficult. You can do that all through food, but that tends to get difficult. So what do you do in those situations? That's where protein supplements come in. Now with supplements, they can help you get to that number that you need if you're struggling to get all that protein from food. The timing of taking protein doesn't really matter as long as you're getting in the proper amount every single day. You're not going to get more out of that protein if you're still getting in 170 grams in your 24-hour window. There used to be this idea of an anabolic window, which was 30 minutes prior after your workout, you needed to get protein in, or you were going to miss out on all these potential benefits that you get from giving your body protein right away after lifting. It's been shown that that is not the case. You just need to get in 170 grams per day if that is the number that you need to reach. Whey protein isolate is going to be the best protein supplement that you could possibly get because it is just protein and that's it. So we have whey protein isolate is going to be the gold standard of whey protein supplements because it's only whey protein and that's it. There are versions of protein supplements that are whey protein concentrate. You want to stay away from those because they can have other stuff in them that's not necessarily needed. You know, like you can look at the ingredients on the back of a whey protein supplement, and if it says proprietary blend, they don't have to say what is in the blend. They usually don't. It'll just say, there will be the ingredient list, it'll say proprietary blend, and there will be all kinds of other stuff. Whey protein isolate is just protein and that's it. You know what you're getting. You know that that's protein. You're getting your 25 to 30 grams per serving, and then that is going to help you hit that protein number throughout the day. So now you might be thinking, I know the basic idea behind how my body burns calories. I know how much protein I need to take in. Now you might be wondering, how do I put these numbers together and keep track of everything? It's complicated. I get it. But the best way to go about it is to track your intake in terms of how much food you're eating per day. This gets difficult because most people think they know how much they're taking in per day. And there's been plenty of stories, right, where there's people that are like, oh, I barely eat, but I'm not losing weight. In reality, those people tend to just not really know how much they're taking in per day. Because there's a lot of things that might seem like it's not a lot of food, but you can very easily put yourself out of a deficit by, for example, there's a big difference between the proper serving size of olive oil and then just dumping it into a pan can be the difference between 300 to 400 calories if you're not paying attention to what you're doing. So this is why it's important to track your intake in a way that gives you a proper measurement. There are a bunch of different apps out there that can give you an idea of what your intake is. MyFitnessPal, Chronometer, both are free apps that allow you to track your intake just on your phone. If you can keep track of everything that you eat throughout the day by using one of these trackers, you are going to get a good idea of what your intake is per day. Now you have an idea of that. Now you put that up against your TDE, and then you'll be able to see how close you are to the deficit you want to be in. After you spent a lot of time in a deficit, you may find, after losing a decent amount of weight, that you begin to plateau, right? Where weight loss slows down and you're not seeing those results as quickly as you once did when you started out in your deficit. This is due to the fact that your body is becoming used to this deficit, and your metabolic rate is going to reflect that by your body trying to burn less calories to then keep up with the deficit. So when that happens, you spend a lot of time in a deficit, you may need to then shrink that deficit even more to continue to see weight loss. You can continue to lose more weight, but your body may need a break, and you may need to spend some time in maintenance. You may need to spend some time back in maintenance, where you increase your calories a little bit to give your body essentially a diet break from being in a deficit for such a long time. You do this for a period of time, maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and then you can drop your calories more, and then you can continue to see that steady weight loss that you once were seeing. During this maintenance phase, you still need to keep track of your nutrition, because you don't want to put yourself into a surplus after being in a deficit for so long, because that is where you're going to see weight gain. Once you're in a maintenance phase, you still need to eat the same way you were. You need to focus on the protein. You need to eat in a way that's going to keep your body healthy. It doesn't necessarily mean you can go off the rails and eat whatever you want after you've put in this work. If you want to enjoy yourself for a minute, sure, that's fine. But keep in mind, if you go too far in the other direction, you will then start to eat at the progress that you already made. So if you got nothing else from this video, understand that the golden rule for losing weight is going to be a calorie deficit and maintaining the proper amount of protein while in that calorie deficit. Keep in mind, the reason that fad diets tend to work is because they're putting you into a calorie deficit because they cut out a major group of food. This is the best way you can do it while still maintaining some semblance of enjoyment, because you can eat the foods that you want to eat as long as you maintain this calorie deficit. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment if this was helpful for you. See you on the next one.